Every time I'd come out here, even to this date, every time I come out here, I find something new. And then they were telling me about more historic areas of the property, like down by the drive where the rail station used to be. And that is where I had found this emblem for Cora Wellhouse's 1919 Buick touring car. And it was definitely off of her car, because when she upped and left the property, she left everything here, including her famed prized touring car. So that Buick emblem definitely had to have come off of her car, like it's almost no doubt. This front part to a Civil War staff officer's button, and Frederick Wellhouse was a captain of the Kansas militia in the Civil War. He has a very, very rich history, and I found this button right out in the front yard with the new metal detector, and I knew it had to have been him, because I don't know what other Civil War officers would have been coming here, and he was known to wear his coat even after the war. A lot of veterans did, because they were proud of it. Kent was all the way down by the road, and I was up here, and I sprinted without pausing all the way down to the road. And by the time I got down there, I was out of breath, and we just paused and just soaked up the rich history that was in that button. So it was an amazing, amazing piece of history found, and since it pertains to the house and you have a name to it, that just makes the artifact that much more special and priceless. And I know for them especially, I mean, like I said before, I'm just a drop in the pond on this whole project, but every ripple matters. I first met Kent and Olga one December afternoon at the Tonganoxie Historical Society. I had been a docent there for a little while, and then they decided to make me a paid intern. So I was working there one afternoon in December, and Kent and Olga walked in, and they were interested in looking at some research for the farm. And I come out of the room where I was doing a project of my own and just started talking to them. And immediately, the charismatic of Kent Porter came right out, and we just started having a conversation about history, the house, and then that's what I brought up. You know, I do metal detecting as a hobby and for the historical purpose. And that's when he was like, oh, well, we have this house. And then it all started from there. The property wouldn't be here without Olga and Kent. It would, it could be just like the cornfield across the street. It could be nothing, and only select few would remember it. They have kept it up, and they've restored it, and will be keeping it up. And I know for forever. I mean, without them, this property would not exist probably. The barn had fallen down by the time Kent got here, and he said the house was on its way, and that's 100% truth. Probably the house itself. I mean, once I was helping them put together the website, he had poured out all these files, and I hadn't seen them before after the year and a half I've been in relations with them. I hadn't seen what this place used to look like. I mean, it was, to say the least, it was terrible. That's all I could say about it. It was absolutely just in disrepair, and Kent came in and just saved the whole property. I came in late to the party, but just because of my love for history, and I mean, that will complete the puzzle and the cycle will be done. Of course, there's always work to be done, keeping up the maintenance of the house and all that, but in the grand scheme of things, that's going to be the completion. I don't keep the stuff for myself. I always present it to the landowner, the homeowner, a museum, and if none of them decide to take it, then I take it in my personal collection. I mean, I always loved history, but then I found out about metal detecting. You can actually go out and find the history. I mean, it's one thing to look at it in a museum, but to actually be the first one to hold an object that you found in 100, 150 years, it's just something special, you know? Doing the research is half the battle. Everything I find is yours, and especially if you're trying to get the house he hadn't gotten it on the state registry yet. Now it's about to be on the national. So him and Olga were floored about the idea of somebody coming out just to look around for historical objects pertaining to the house. It's good that they preserved it, because now future generations can examine it, learn from it, and love it like I have and many people around the community have. I mean, naturally, you are never going to find everything that is to be found on the first run, and you never are going to be able to find everything that has been lost. Immediately started finding pieces of history that pertain to the house, with some suspender clips, a couple of coins. Then I found this rifle butt plate here, all the research they had done and all the hard work. And it was just one of those things. It's so amazing. This really has been a 20-year-long process, and I just like seeing everything come to a whole, you know, all the work, all the everything. Just like the older people coming through here today, they were like, wow, I remember when this place was literally falling apart. I helped them do the website, and then I did the metal detecting out around here and helped them do a little bit of research and all that. So, I mean, I'm just a drop in the pond, really. But my name's Garrett Susser. I'm a history major at Emporia State University. History is my passion. My whole life has just been surrounded by stories of history from my grandparents, my family members, and I just took a knack to it, even as far back as elementary school. I love history. That's my long-term goal. I want to get a PhD in history. Yeah, history is my passion. Roughly 5 years ago, I was introduced to metal detecting. While I was out in the yard just doing my thing while I was being followed with the camera for the shots, I had actually found this right here, and it's a 1915 Buffalo nickel that I had previously missed. And like I said before, every time I come out here, I will find something that I had missed. So this nickel has been in the ground for Lord knows how long, and I just thought it was very cool, and it just showed everybody here that how metal detecting works and what there is out there to be found. I mean, I have done metal detecting, like I said, for 5 years, and in that short amount of time, I've found enough to last some people a lifetime, and found stuff that people won't even find in their lifetime. Whether it be, you know, metal detecting for a historical society, finding lost rings or jewelry for people, or just metal detecting for the benefit of historic preservation. I mean, finding this stuff is one thing. Once I take it home, I restore it using the best methods possible. And then I put it in a display case, and I'll display it in my room, or I'll take it to the landowners or museums. And surprisingly, some people don't really want it for whatever reason. But that's okay, because I'll just take it and cherish it forever. I mean, I haven't sold, and I will probably never sell anything I find. I mean, I'll donate it. That's different. That's not selling. But that's just how I view pieces of history. They're priceless. Every little piece of history is priceless. Every little, whether it be just a little bullet from a gun, if it's old, it tells a story. Somebody pulled that trigger, or somebody dropped this coin, or somebody lost this button, somebody lost their spoon. It all ties together into one big story, and that's our story. It took me on a small tour of the inside, and I was just like, wow, like this place is really awesome. And it didn't really dawn on me until I'd seen the pictures of what it used to look like to make me even more respect what they had done. I found this rifle butt plate right out here in the front lawn. I believe it goes to an old Winchester or an old Marlin lever action rifle. Kent took it and he polished it up to make it look real nice and pretty. That was one of the first things I'd found on the property, along with a couple old coins and all that. I had thought, you know, I'd found just about everything that was to be found, even in this area with my old metal detector. One of the first things I had found here on the property, and just in general with the new metal detector, was I found Kansas State Registry of Historic Places. That's the state level before you get to national of historic places. Months of preparation and research had went into it, and they had books and pictures and the artifacts. And by the time they went to Topeka, they had brought the artifacts I had just shown. The people there were absolutely intrigued with the artifacts, the history, everything that got on the state registry. And the state people were very adamant on, please apply for National Historic Registry, because there's a very high chance you're gonna get it. I would say my favorite part of the property, of course, besides just finding the artifacts, the people at Topeka were absolutely intrigued with the artifacts, the research, the history of the house, and they had wondered, why isn't this place more well known? When the house was completed in 1905, I mean, everybody in the Tonganoxie community knew about this place and continued to know about this place. I mean, 4 Kansas governors spoke from the veranda above me here. I would say if it were still standing, the barn probably would have been my favorite part of the property. A 3-story barn. I mean, it just would have been, for its day, it would have been magnificent. It would have been like seeing the progression from disrepair to a gym over the 20-year period. It's mind-boggling that someone actually took on this daunting task and completed it in such a fashion. It's it's incomprehensible to some people. I mean, and me as a historian, the way they restored it back to 1890s, early 1900s progressive era spec, it's just amazing, really. Yeah, he told me all about just a short snippet of what the place is about and just about the owner, Cora Wellhouse. And we just started talking, and that's when I mentioned metal detecting. It was December, so it was getting cold and the weather is about to start turning nasty. And that's when I was just like, well, hey, you know, I do metal detecting. You know, I did my normal spiel of like, now that they've applied and they're most likely going to be on it, it is just amazing to have, before they got the house totally restored and all that, they had told me about what they were planning on doing around Christmas time. I got a brand new metal detector, the Garrett AT Max, and it's a very wonderful machine. I have found so much with it, and I just love going out on nice days like this, or even crappy days, because I mean, history just, it needs to be saved. Hearing the stories that they've said and showing me the things that they had found in the house, like the old pictures in the attic, it's a puzzle piece, and the last puzzle piece to this puzzle is going to be getting on the National Registry. Well, earlier while they were doing other interviews, I was being followed around with the camera